The Amityville Haunted House Story, the mystery that turned into horror. This is one of the scariest stories in American history, where real events intertwined with supernatural claims. It is the story of the Amityville Haunted House, which became the source of countless horror films and novels due to the eerie experiences reported. Let me tell you the story in the most detailed way possible. Part 1. The event that started it all. On a cold night of November 13th, 1974, in a small town called Amityville in New York, the police received an emergency call about a tragic incident inside a house at 112 Ocean Avenue. When the police arrived, they were shocked by a disturbing scene. 6 members of the DeFeo family were found lifeless in their sleep, all in the same position. The victims were the parents, Ronald DeFeo Sr., 43 years old, and Louise DeFeo, 42 years old, and their 4 children, Dawn, 18 years old, Allison, 13 years old, Mark, 12 years old, and John Matthew, 9 years old. Strangely, none of the neighbors reported hearing anything unusual, and there was no sign of struggle. Even more bizarrely, all the family members were found lying on their stomachs, without any attempt to escape. The police quickly focused on Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr., the 23-year-old eldest son of the family. At first, he claimed he was out of the house at the time of the incident, but he soon changed his statement and provided conflicting details. He mentioned hearing voices urging him to act, but he couldn't explain why none of the family members reacted. In court, his lawyer tried to plead insanity, but the court sentenced him to life in prison. But the story did not end here. It turned into something even more terrifying. Part 2. The family that moved in after the event. A year after the incident, in December 1975, a new family decided to move into the house. The father, George Lutz, the mother, Kathy Lutz, and their 3 young children. The family bought the house at a very cheap price, about $80,000, due to its dark history. But they were optimistic and wanted a fresh start. Unfortunately, what awaited them in this house was far from a happy beginning. The first day. As soon as they entered the house, George suddenly felt a cold shiver run through his body, even though the heating was on. He felt as if something was watching them. A few days later, doors started opening and closing on their own. Objects moved around the house without reason, and a strange, moldy odor filled the air. Midnight. George and Kathy began hearing whispering voices and eerie laughter coming from empty rooms. They tried to convince themselves it was just their imagination. But things got worse. Part 3. Nightmares and strange experiences. Kathy woke up every night from terrifying nightmares, seeing the events of the past in vivid detail. George always woke up at 3:15 a.m., the exact time the previous incident occurred. One of the children started talking to an imaginary friend named Jody. But it wasn't just an imaginary friend. It was described as a figure with glowing red eyes, appearing in every corner of the house. One night, Kathy found herself covered in mysterious bruises without remembering how she got them, as if something invisible had affected her in her sleep. George became obsessed with fire and started acting strangely, sitting in front of the fireplace for hours without moving, as if something had taken over him. One day, they saw what looked like an unknown entity in the form of a giant figure with glowing red eyes staring at them from the second-floor window. When George ran outside to see what it was, he found nothing. But large, unexplained marks appeared in the snow. In the end, after only 28 days, the family could no longer endure. At midnight, they woke up to the sounds of loud noises, doors slamming violently, and objects moving on their own. It was like living in a real-life horror movie. The family fled the house, leaving all their belongings behind, and never returned. Part 4. Is the house really haunted? After the Lutz family left, the Amityville house became one of the most famous haunted houses in America. Many paranormal investigators, such as Ed and Lorraine Warren, renowned researchers, visited the house and confirmed they felt a strong, mysterious presence there. Investigations revealed that the land the house was built on may have been an ancient Native American burial ground, which could explain the presence of unexplained energy. However, some skeptics question the entire story, claiming that the Lutz family fabricated the events for publicity. Nevertheless, no one can deny that many people have reported strange occurrences in this house, even those who did not believe in the paranormal. In the end, the Amityville house still holds its mysteries. Is it just a myth, or does something unknown